So as Troy mentioned, I'm Kevin Hall, a Senior Principal Product Success Manager for the Employee Workflows products at ServiceNow. And I'm really excited to be here this morning to talk about hybrid work and employee readiness. So during the next 20 or so minutes, I'll go through share some thoughts about employee productivity in a hybrid world, employee engagement, returning to the workplace, and the result that everybody's looking for is continued effective mission delivery. So as everybody knows, and it's a little bit trite at this point, but still very true, the impact of the last couple of years has definitely changed the way we work. It showed change can happen rapidly and without warning, and the effects have prompted increased interest in using telework and remote work as important tools for safely and efficiently delivering mission-critical services in the public and private sectors during emergencies. So as we've all learned, it's critical to be able to adapt and rise to the challenge to ensure employees remain engaged and productive. Whether they're working from home, on-site, or on the road, or some combination thereof, creating awesome employee experiences helps keep your workforce loyal and motivated. And then looking ahead, as restrictions lift and more people come back to the workplace, there needs to be more organization around how people return. And this can include preparing the workplace by configuring socially distanced workspaces, automating daily cleaning tasks, providing self-service space reservations, and verifying health and vaccine status, and more. And then last but not least is agencies need insight into the employee's readiness to effectively deliver on the mission, whether they're in the office or at home, and validate their health, safety, and well-being for a variety of reasons. So first, we'll talk a little bit about employee productivity in a hybrid world. A good employee experience results in a stable, engaged, and high-performing workforce. One analysis revealed that organizations that can create a positive employee experience are almost 2.5 times more likely to delight their customers, whether they're internal or external, more than 4 times likely to be innovative, and 5 times more likely to retain employees, which is important to everybody in this competition for talent. Speaking of talent, creating a positive employee experience requires an integrated talent management strategy, not just a series of separate disconnected tactics. It also means collecting data to monitor the employee experience. It's critical to measure this employee engagement to understand whether employees are having a positive experience and what to focus on to create this experience. The most comprehensive, effective, and efficient way to measure the employee experience, and therefore employee engagement, is by surveying employees. Through a regular cadence of surveys, the organization asks every employee to provide feedback on their experience, thus identifying workplace factors that may be barriers to high-performing and highly engaged workforce. And it's important to do this in a structured manner, obviously, but throughout the year to gauge the pulse of your employees, not just, for example, using the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey. So this is how you can capture employees expressing concerns about factors such as recognition. Everybody wants to be valued for the work that they do. Change management needs, training, learning, and development needs. How well are your employees connected to the mission? How effective is the agency's communication? Is the workforce adequately resourced? Equity, inclusion, pay, and work-life balance. But every organization is different and needs to have base decisions, including how to improve the employee experience on this data received through employee feedback. Guessing or relying on social events, for example, let's have a virtual happy hour, or more common, let's have a real happy hour, no longer cut it in an environment of increasingly intense competition for talent. Instead, our research and work with organizations across the country has revealed attracting and retaining talent hinges on factors that include making employee engagement a strategic priority, providing strong but empathetic leadership, communicating frequently and candidly, ensuring that the work itself is rewarding and links to the mission, which providing relevant training and development opportunities, as well as recognition in valuing employees. So tech can definitely help with this flexibility in this new hybrid world. Things such as innovative digital workflows designed specifically for this new world of work make it possible for employees to move seamlessly between their office, home, and anywhere else they decide to work. Think of services that provide a secure way to store your data and access it anywhere, as well as employee applications to onboard, communicate with each other, and manage workflows. Not only will this technology help connect people from anywhere, it's also critical for creating positive and productive in-office experiences. It helps employees reserve desks, reserve meeting spaces, track health screenings, and making people feel safe and comfortable as they return to the workplace. Technology itself can't be, though, the hero of the story. When this new technology truly achieves its purpose, it'll fade into the background and become what I like to call table stakes and just sort of infrastructure. This helps leadership teams in their efforts to put people first. They'll implement systems to help their employees focus on meaningful work as well as their personal well-being. It also gives employees time to work on skill development. And as business models evolve, businesses and agencies turn to technology to drive efficiency and expand capabilities by eliminating task work and refocusing efforts on strategic growth initiatives. So, for example, in the world of human resources that I come from, we want to automate the routine tasks, freeing up HR specialists to be more strategic consultants with their customers. To accelerate performance, employers need to provide opportunities for employees to develop new skills or embark on new career trajectories with more opportunity for growth. It'd rather retain talent inside your agency than lose it to another agency for lack of opportunity. Additionally, employees also rely on helpful technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning to identify workers with the right skills in unique places, such as pools of former applicants who previously applied for other roles. The pandemic also forced changes to the workplace in general. Many employees learned how to perform the functions of their job in a new way during a difficult time, meeting the challenges head on. Agencies went through extraordinary effort to demonstrate that they've been able to carry out their missions effectively. And accordingly, agencies now have an opportunity to revisit how they are operating prior to the pandemic, and leverage lessons learned during the pandemic to integrate telework and remote work into their strategic workforce plans. As we look to the future, as I'm sure you heard from the OPM director this morning, OPM is encouraging agencies to strategically leverage workplace flexibilities such as telework, remote work, and alternative flexible work schedules. So, what does that mean? That means the way that people work has changed. Even as restrictions lift and more people come back to the workplace, there needs to be more organization around how they return. Employees need the flexibility now to get tasks done wherever they are on any device. And products such as ServiceNow's workplace service delivery support this new hybrid workforce and offers the tools needed to manage that chaos. It includes things like preparing the workplace by configuring workspaces, automating daily cleaning tasks, self-service space reservations, verifying employees' health status, gaining insights into readiness, all while continuing monitoring and improving the workplace readiness with a comprehensive view and dashboards. Now moving on to employee engagement, where people and purpose drive culture. Workers who feel strongly connected to their employer are much more likely to be fully engaged than those who don't feel connected. Especially amid the current Great Resignation, it makes sense that employers will need to heighten their focus on their people and reflect on the larger purpose that unites their workforce. Amidst all the change, one common thread has only grown stronger: people, power, and performance. It provides human resource management, software and services, and diversity, equity, and inclusion tools to make sure that people, power, and performance is maximized. To support and empower your employees, agencies are rooting decision-making in data and starting to leverage those insights to better understand employees' needs and what drives their productivity. This increased visibility is fostering a stronger sense of connection and paving the way for greater growth and innovation ahead. So it's not uncommon for agencies to find themselves implementing rules to police and manage risks for noncompliance while unintentionally shifting contribution and innovation from others. It's an old script that hybrid working has flipped, but the majority of workers want to show up to work each day and do meaningful work. It's up to leaders to lay the right foundation to make that happen. The post-pandemic workplace requires a unified experience across all functions, from IT to HR, facilities to legal, and the hundreds of connecting processes in between. It means accommodating contractors and partners with the same level of support and focus. Digital workflows are the not-so-secret sauce in hybrid models, seamlessly blending virtual and physical interaction to deliver brilliant experiences. Employees should be able to access information, systems, and support from anywhere, at home, on the go, or in the workplace. Agencies have revealed new roadmaps to reopening, including guidance for employees returning to the office. However, the onus is on them to keep their people safe. Workers are counting on their employers to put the necessary tools and workflows in place to mitigate the risk of COVID transmission. Data-driven contact tracing is a real-time view of workplace readiness and may be a prerequisite for many openings. Many companies and agencies are already using ServiceNow safe workplace applications and workplace service delivery to reopen offices worldwide. As ServiceNow's Eric Swift recently said, in the future, workplace apps will become widespread to manage flexible working. These will include features like interactive maps, so people can navigate around any worksite or office they visit, and the ability to let colleagues know what days they'll be in and what desk they'll sit at, so it's easier for teams to come together. Keeping employees engaged and productive has never been more important to create a connected and engaging employee experience. Whether at home, on-site, or on the road, creating awesome employee experiences helps keep workforce loyal and motivated. It's often confusing for employees to know where to get help, and that confusion costs time and money. Agencies should want to free up skilled agents so they can focus on complex requests and add value where it matters most. And to achieve that, you need your employees to self-serve for high-volume, simple requests. With employee workflows, every act should be quicker, easier, and more efficient for everyone involved. You want to be able to accomplish things like employees getting answers to questions, making requests, and getting broken things fixed across your enterprise without having to engage an agent. You want to deliver the services to the employees where they are, whether that's in the office, at home, on the browser, on a mobile device, through a virtual agent or an application. And finally, you want to make sure that everybody has a delightful service experience, both the people who need the help and the agents servicing them. Return to the workplace. I think that in the near future, the workplace is going to be a destination. The transformation of work from a place you have to go to something you do is fundamentally reshaping the role. And as organizations imagine their workspaces for so-called knowledge workers, closer collaboration and true human connection will trump cost and control. Further, as employers transform their spaces to fit this new hybrid model of work, leaders will start to think not only about the people, but also the places where they're working and how to seamlessly merge the two together. Many people won't be going into an office by default, but for specific reasons. In other words, as a destination. Whether it's for an all-staff meeting, to work collaboratively on a project, or to socialize with coworkers, yes, that's a thing. The time spent in an office will be designed for making the most of these valuable moments that matter. Many agencies are also testing out more permanent telework and remote work programs, arrangements where employees might only come into the office on occasion. The current administration sees telework and remote work as a way to expand the talent pipeline and eventually cut back on the government's real estate footprint. But those remote or hybrid work assignments may also open up new professional development and training opportunities for employees. Also, with events being virtual, there's much more access for people than has ever been possible before. Think about conferences and internal training offerings such as today. It's easy to add people to a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting to participate and get the benefits of keynote speakers or classroom materials. Conferences that otherwise would have entailed quite a bit of travel money and time to take people on the road can now be delivered virtually, and this can further be extrapolated to broader learning and development opportunities for your employees. Now let's talk a little bit about safely reopening the workplace. Companies and agencies will eventually reopen their offices in earnest, albeit in a different way than before, since the fundamental role of the office is evolving. The workplace may no longer be the default location where most employees go every day. Instead, as I mentioned, it's becoming a destination for collaboration and brainstorming, as well as key meetings. Employees want access to the workplace for this purpose, but only if the experience doesn't add more hassle, stress, and frustration to what they're receiving today. They're making decisions about where and how they work based on personal comfort levels and needs. So there's 5 stages to safely reopening the workplace. The first stage is where most employees are remote. And this is where surveys really come into play. You can ask your employees to evaluate readiness to return to the workplace. Agency leaders can assess the current health status of their workforce, status and opinions from other stakeholders, assess the employee's perspective about returning to the workplace, and decide to move to the next stage, which is preparing to return. In this stage, agencies will execute their workplace safety management plans to ensure clean, socially distant workspaces are available, employee arrivals and/or shifts are coordinated, and the workplace is as safe as it can be when it's ready to reopen. Next step is for employees to begin entering the workspace. And it's important to provide a capability for employees to screen and document their current health status, as well as have the appropriate agency-provided PPE available, and also give the employees the ability to reserve a workspace. Finally, once the workforce is back in the office to the extent that it makes sense for an agency, agencies can also provide tools if they want to assist with contact tracing and capture health and safety screening and testing. So for example, at ServiceNow, we use our own technology for exactly this the scenarios that we're describing here. Finally, stage 5 is employee travel safety. Agencies may want to capture travel approval in a workflow prior to letting employees out on temporary duty, remote workplace visits, and things like that. This helps ensure the employee is healthy to travel and that the remote workspace has the appropriate safety measures in place. So as I started mentioning, at ServiceNow, we use our own products for exactly these reasons. For the workforce that is working from home, which depending on location may be everybody at that location, or in my case, I'm a remote worker with only occasional travel into the office, we use our own products to check in, to make a reservation for a workspace. We provide our vaccination status, and we also get travel approval prior to making any travel reservations. So we've got an integration with our travel agent, and if the travel approval code isn't sent over to the travel agent for your trip, you're not allowed to book your travel, and that causes delays and frustration. So it's really a great and seamless experience. So I think in the next couple of months, I'm going out to headquarters. So the same thing is I'll request travel approval. I'll get that approval. I'll go in, I'll make my reservations. And then the day before the meeting, I'll go in and reserve my workspace. I'll get a QR code on the ServiceNow mobile app. And then when I check in at security in the building, they'll scan my QR code, they'll scan my badge, and off I go to my reserved workspace. So that's kind of a sort of a segue into the next one, which is simplifying the employee experience. And so there's additional capabilities that can be used to simplify the experience and work flexibilities. So some of the things I just alluded to in our own process is things like booking cross-office events. So as an office workspace becomes an event center for company meetings, town halls, cross-departmental collaboration, group reservation capabilities, as I mentioned, make it easy to book rooms and desks on behalf of team members or as a team member, create reservations for workspaces or conference rooms across multiple locations, and things like that. That leads to working together easily, with employees prioritizing in-person work days for events and team meetings. The ability to find and book spaces near team members and key colleagues is important. Proximity-based reservation capabilities make it easy to reserve desks near your colleagues, and employees can also share reservation itineraries with their colleagues, allowing them to browse and book spaces in proximity to where their colleague is located. We also can navigate the office with ease by loading a map of the office space into the application. So it's I mentioned going to headquarters. It was the first time I'd been there. I had no idea where it was, but being able to open up the map in the application and do sort of a pre-walkthrough of where I was going made it much easier to navigate the cubicle farm and confusing rabbit warren that is our office out in California. And then finally, streamlining the reservation process. So managing multiple calendars is a job in and of itself, and that experience can be streamlined by use of products such as ServiceNow's Workplace Service Delivery to create reservations and seamlessly add them to an employee's Outlook calendar. So you don't have to make your reservation, get an email, and copy and paste that email into your calendar. We'll deliver you the calendar reservation that you can just accept. So now we're moving on to what's everybody really after, and everybody is really after ensuring continued effective mission delivery. So as you've heard or will hear later this morning, or both, the shifting workplace during the past 2 years has impacted mission delivery, but arguably in a positive manner. There are numerous examples where agencies have carried out their missions effectively and federal employees continue to perform their jobs at the highest level from locations other than their regular duty station, apart from their managers, supervisors, and colleagues. Federal employees demonstrated their resiliency, whether continuing to report to their workplace to carry out the mission or adapting with no notice to a maximum telework environment. As a result, agencies now have an opportunity to revisit how they're operating prior to the pandemic and leverage these lessons learned to integrate telework and remote work into their strategic workforce plans as OPM's laid out. Workplace flexibility is a critical component of this success. The experience makes clear that when implemented correctly, flexible workspaces help us all deliver on our mission. And as we look to the future, OPM encourages agencies to strategic leverage workplace flexibility such as telework to help attract, recruit, and retain the best possible federal workforce, as well as leverage telework as a way to ensure greater resiliency and emergency preparedness throughout the federal government. So now we're in the home stretch, and I know that I'm pretty much the last thing between you and a break, so we'll wrap this up and hopefully have a little time for Q&A. The effects of the last couple of years have prompted significant interest nationwide in using telework and remote work as an important tools for safely and efficiently delivering mission-critical services to the public and private sectors at all times. During the pandemic, federal employees demonstrated resiliency, whether continuing to report to workplace and executing the mission, and employees were able to, at least as effectively and in many cases more effectively, perform their work. As a result, agencies now have an opportunity, and it's almost incumbent on agencies to revisit their new workforce planning process and really figure out how to best integrate telework, remote work, and the hybrid workforce into their workforce plans. So wrapping things up, with the increased emphasis from the administration on the customer experience, I thought this quote from Richard Branson would be a great way to wrap it up. And assuming clients and customers are synonymous, which they are, if you have an engaged and productive workforce, the resulting customer experience will be amazing. So thank you very much for your time this morning. Enjoy the remainder of the conference. And Troy, if we have time and if we have questions, I'm happy to.
We do have a couple, but we are well over time, and I'm sensitive to where we need to keep our other speakers on track. So I'm going to have to steer the questions into the chat room, but raised a lot of good questions and good topics about the data to track and the services to provide. And we very much appreciate that. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy.